Hey, what's up, guys? And a very happy Thursday. Today is Thursday. Just a couple of you on this evening. Now, I understand it's been a while since I've done a Facebook Live, so I understand that it might be it might be a bit tough going here until we can get some folks on, but hopefully we'll get some folks on here in the next couple of minutes as we begin to dive into our forecast. Sorry, I'm a couple of minutes late. I had a couple of minor technical difficulties that I was not anticipating. Now, in hindsight, I suppose I could have checked for minor technical difficulties a little bit sooner than I did, but I was not anticipating technical difficulties because the technical difficulty I had, I thought it was fixed earlier this afternoon, and apparently it was not. So, we're here. We are about 20 minutes late. I don't like to necessarily be late, but we're here nonetheless. So I wanted to talk just for a couple of minutes this evening anyway. I wasn't going to make this a super prolonged, drawn-out thing. And I wanted to talk about what we're looking at as we head into the weekend, because the forecast has a quote-unquote improved a little bit across the Tennessee Valley over the last couple of days. We really began to mention this yesterday when it kind of appeared that some warmer air was going to begin to build up into the Tennessee Valley as we headed into the weekend. And that was going to limit, to an extent, the ability to get both snow and ice. The snow ice line was going to be shoved a bit further to the north, which was going to introduce the opportunity for a little bit of rain. We first began noticing this kind of yesterday, and though in hindsight I go back and I look at previous models, and the one that really began to show the warmer air, the Euro. You hear a lot of talk about the European model and the American model. First and foremost, the European model is almost always superior when it comes to winter weather events, which is a lot of my problem with the Facebook hype, because a lot of times what people will do when they're trying to get Facebook likes, comments, and shares is they'll always post the American model, which everybody always knows. Meteorologists know, we have the education and the experience to know that the American model just simply does not perform well in winter weather events. But everybody always, nobody ever includes the European model. But anywho, so the European model was the first one to really kind of bring in this idea of warmer air pushing its way up into the Tennessee Valley as we got into the weekend. But then I kind of went back and I was looking at previous runs of the European model. And I kind of began to notice it a little bit sooner. And maybe had I noticed those interesting little cruxes to the model, maybe I would have been able to pick up on it sooner and catch it a little bit sooner than I did. Ashley, good evening. Hope you're doing well. Again, I know it's been a while since I've done a Facebook Live, so hopefully we'll get some folks to join in. A good number of you on this evening. I am streaming this in two different locations. I'm streaming it on the FOX54 page, but I'm also primarily streaming it on my chief meteorologist, Jordan Dressman page. So if you leave a comment and I don't get to your question during the Facebook Live, then I will go in and answer it after the fact. So I've got some primary bullet points that I just kind of wanted to hit on real quick. The forecast has improved slightly for the Tennessee Valley, and I've already hit on a number of these things in that it looks like warmer air is going to build up into the area, not just as we head into Saturday, but as we head into Sunday as well. And now, the warmer air is going to do a couple of different things for us, right? The warmer air means far less snow. As a matter of fact, we're talking about minimal to no snow across the Tennessee Valley. It is truly going to be quite minimal. But then we're also talking about a greater chance for just pure liquid rain. And depending on just how warm the temperatures can get, we're also looking at maybe more of an ice threat. So that's something we're going to continue to pay attention to here over the next couple of days. Got some folks watching from Hazel Green, Decatur, Athens, all across the Tennessee Valley this evening. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. So I wanted to show you, did I hit the play button? I hope I hit the play button. That would be kind of embarrassing if I didn't hit the play button. There I go. Okay, so I wanted to show you anticipated impacts on Saturday. I can't necessarily show you anticipated impacts on Sunday. This specific product only goes out 3 days, today being day one, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Tomorrow we'll get Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so I'll be able to show you a version of this for Sunday. But what this product attempts to do is it attempts to take the weather, okay, the anticipated winter weather that we're going to have built into the Tennessee Valley, and it tries to determine the societal impact based on the anticipated weather. So here's what we've done is we've done exactly that, right? So it appears the greatest impact, and I really tend to agree with this, is going to be across northwest Alabama and up across southern Middle Tennessee, Lauderdale, Colbert, and Franklin counties, Giles County up in southern Middle Tennessee, where we're looking at major to moderate impacts in those locations. Why there and why not the rest of the Tennessee Valley? Well, the answer is actually quite simple. Folks over in northwest Alabama and then up across southern Middle Tennessee are going to end up getting more ice and less liquid rain. Everybody else across the Tennessee Valley is going to get more liquid rain. Now, you kind of notice maybe a little splotch over in Fort Payne where they're looking at moderate to major impacts. That's actually kind of interesting, and we'll talk about that here in just a couple of minutes. But I want to talk about what I believe is going to be the biggest impact across the Tennessee Valley. The biggest impact is actually not going to push its way into our neck of the woods until we get to Sunday night and then early into Monday morning, which is kind of interesting because in theory, the biggest impact is not actually going to push its way into the Tennessee Valley until after all of the precipitation has stopped falling. Justin says he is just simply watching from Alabama. Thank you, Justin. I appreciate that. Justin, I feel like it's been a while since we've communicated. I can't remember if you saw my post or not. I'm hoping you're still watching anyway. From Christmas. I know you have commented a number of different times when I've attempted to smoke something. I had what I will consider to be a very successful prime rib smoke over Christmas. I was very, very pleased with that. And then just the other day, Justin, I did 0 to 400 wings. I was doing a test for the Super Bowl. I wanted to make sure I could actually do it. And those turned out fantastic. I was also talking to guys at 97.7 ESPN, The Zone, the radio station, and we were talking about my prime rib. You made those prime rib. I did make, I was very proud of myself. It turned out quite nice. Mrs. Dressman was pleased, and I suppose that's all that matters. What's it looking like in South Huntsville near, we're getting really specific, specifically near Rosie's. Honestly, South Huntsville looks a lot like the rest of the city of Huntsville, in that we're probably going to get a fair amount of rain. That is really what I think is going to end up being the big thing here in the city. So the biggest impact is going to move into the Tennessee Valley actually after the precipitation has stopped. The greatest impact is likely going to be Sunday night and then early into Monday morning as temperatures begin to fall off. And they're going to fall off quite rapidly. They're going to fall off to such a great extent that honestly, it's not going to matter whether you've seen liquid precipitation or you've seen frozen precipitation. It is all likely going to freeze over Sunday night and then early into Monday morning. Justin says, buzzkill, I'm heading to the smoker. You know, I mean, you can take me with you if you're on the phone. Again, turns out it's really quick and easy to do 0 to 400 wings. Steve says, what about Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, my friend? Steve, see, now you're in a bit of a different position up there in Lawrenceburg. You're just far enough north that you are going to get more ice and snow up in Lawrenceburg. So that is definitely something to take note of. My producer's texting me a question that I can answer later. So I kind of want to go over the current watches, warnings, and advisories across the Tennessee Valley. So I should wear my, yes, you probably should. You should probably do that every night, Lundy. My opinion, you should do that every night. Current watches, warnings, and advisories across the Tennessee Valley. We've got a couple of them. An ice storm warning in effect for northwest Alabama, Lauderdale, Colbert, and Franklin counties. All of these are going to run Friday evening through Sunday evening. We've got a winter storm warning in effect for Giles County up in southern Middle Tennessee. And then everybody else is under a winter weather advisory. Now, believe it or not, this is a change from the winter storm watch. A winter weather advisory is actually an upgrade, as odd as it sounds. But it is a bit of an upgrade. So, winter weather advisory in effect for much of North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. Winter storm warning in effect for Giles County. And then the ice storm warning specifically for Northwest Alabama, and they're under the ice storm warning because it looks like their accumulations of ice are going to be greater than really everybody else's accumulations, and I'll show you that here in just a second. This is a massive system. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I just kind of wanted to show you this. There are winter weather alerts extending all the way from the Northeast all the way back into Albuquerque, New Mexico. Well over 2,000 miles, several states impacted by potential winter weather. William says, how far south will the snow and ice go? William, in your location, you are going to get very little, if any, ice. You might get a little bit of ice down there, but I can about tell you that you're probably going to get mostly rain. A very cold rain, William. I hope you bought your ice melt. I bought my ice melt, and then I texted Bill and told him to go buy some ice melt. So I hope he bought some ice melt as well for the driveway. So if you didn't buy your ice melt, William, you can ask Bill. Bill, I told him to go buy some ice melt. So I wanted to go over ice totals. They're going to be a little bit greater across northeast or northwest Alabama, Lauderdale, Colbert, down into Franklin County, and even right now. These totals aren't terribly high, but they're going to be higher in Northwest Alabama and Southern Middle Tennessee than they're going to be everywhere else. You know what, Lundy? Go for it. If you think you can pull it off, by all means, go for it. Everybody else is going to get very little, if any, ice. Good afternoon from the Hawaiian Islands. Okay, well, we don't. Okay, thanks for bragging, John. Thanks. I'm talking about ice totals, but you can continue to tell us about the Hawaiian. Feel free to post a picture of a palm tree. That'd be great. Now, I want you to look at Fort Payne. Fort Payne is also anticipated to get a little more ice than everybody else, and that's going to be interesting. Normally, air moves from the west to the east, but in Fort Payne, they're looking at a little bit of cold air moving in from the east. It's kind of coming in the back door, as it were, and that cold air could allow them to get a little more ice than everybody else. The folks in Fort Payne, kind of in their own little world as far as this system is concerned. Jeff says, what's Rogersville, Alabama looking like? And Rogersville, I would anticipate you're probably going to get a thin little glaze of ice, maybe 100th or so of an inch. John says, I have family in Alabama. So do you live in Hawaii and you're just merely observing the family? Okay. I get it now. I get it. Anywho, Rogersville, maybe a thin glaze of ice, 1/100th of an inch or so. And when you think about it, 1/100th of an inch is just a light little glaze. Wouldn't have a massive impact in Rogersville. Most pre-treat would be able to take care of that. Ice melt on the driveway would be able to take care of that. Well, John, I'm glad somebody gets to be warm. But anyway, thanks for watching. I really appreciate that. I really do. Let's talk about snow totals. What about Decatur, says Dustin. Decatur, much the same. Maybe a thin layer of ice. Otherwise, in Decatur, you're probably going to get a fair amount of rain. No snow. Contrary to what this says, I don't think you're going to get much snow, Dustin. As a matter of fact, snow is going to be incredibly limited. It's going to be limited to southern Middle Tennessee, maybe a little bit of snow in northwest Alabama. But even then, the snow totals are going to be minimal at best. I'm from Hawaii, but I live in Tony. What kind of glazing should I expect? I suppose the same glaze that most of us are going to get, 1/100th of an inch, otherwise a fair amount of rain. Will a glaze be enough for the kids to sled? I wish, Margaret, I really wish, but this is not. Unless things were to change overnight and the area of low pressure were to drag itself back to the south, this is not going to be a sledding type of event. And I'm kind of bummed about that. I always hope that as long as we're going to get winter weather, it ends up being snow and the kids get to sled. But unfortunately, that's just not going to be the case this time. Freezing rain versus sleet. I really just kind of wanted to show you this just real quick. Freezing rain is freezing rain because it has a bigger pocket of warmer air to push its way through compared to sleet. So the ice, it all starts as ice. It technically all starts as snow. When it becomes freezing rain, it falls through a massive pocket of warmer air and then hits some colder air right in the surface. So that's what kind of gives it that glaze look to it, kind of like a glazed donut. How about Lewisburg, Tennessee, sir, says Wes. Up in Lewisburg, you're going to get more ice than everybody else. The forecast for North Alabama and up there towards Lewisburg are going to be kind of different. I would anticipate you're probably going to get some reasonably significant ice, 5/100ths of an inch up to 1/10 of an inch in ice in Lewisburg, and then maybe a little bit of snow thrown into the mix as well. So here's Futurecast. As we head into Saturday morning, temperatures are going to be in the mid and upper 20s. Precipitation is going to begin to build in through the earliest hours of Saturday morning. And when it initially builds into the Tennessee Valley, it is first going to develop as frozen precipitation. Maybe a little bit of snow, maybe a little bit of sleet, maybe a little bit of freezing rain. Now, the one thing the model is struggling with here as we head into the later part of the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, for example, here on Saturday, the model kind of struggles to pick up on the different types of precipitation. So what I end up having to do here is I end up having to look at the temperatures, and the temperatures are really going to begin to tell the story. I think for Alabamians, the concern may be more about power outages. Ice is always bad for our outdated power infrastructure. So Josh, this is not the type of event as it stands right now. This is not the type of event that is going to lead to widespread power outages, not even in Northwest Alabama. Maybe some isolated power outages in Northwest Alabama, but we're not talking about widespread problems with the infrastructure this time around. You're welcome, Wes. So 9 o'clock in the morning, trying to bring in a little bit of liquid precipitation into the Tennessee Valley. It could have to deal with that warmer air aloft that the model is currently trying to pick up on. But when temperatures are still in the mid and upper 20s at 9 a.m., we're still going to be talking about a little bit of sleet and freezing rain. Now, things do begin to change as we head into the lunch hour. Just a couple of hours later, now temperatures are beginning to climb into the mid and upper 30s. And that means whatever frozen precipitation is falling is going to begin to turn over to liquid rain. A couple of exceptions to that, Northwest Alabama, and then up across southern Middle Tennessee. Now, as we head into 3 o'clock in the afternoon, again, Futurecast still struggling here with the precipitation type. We're still in the 20s over in Northwest Alabama. So that activity is still going to be a little bit of sleet or freezing rain. And as we go throughout the day on Saturday, we could spend some periods of time where we bounce back and forth. At one point, maybe we're talking about a little bit of rain, but then at another point, maybe we're talking about some freezing precipitation. So we're going to kind of bounce back and forth as temperatures kind of fluctuate and try and get their act together through Saturday afternoon. But then as we head into Saturday evening into the overnight, temperatures are going to be a little more consistent, and we're going to see more of a liquid rain develop across the area. And then Saturday night, early into Sunday morning, I actually think temperatures are going to stay above freezing. So what does that mean for us? Well, Saturday night, early Sunday morning, above freezing temperatures means we're actually going to talk about a lot of rain. And I think that's going to be a good thing, because whatever frozen precipitation has fallen during that time period is going to melt. Now, the downside about this is whatever pre-treat was put on the roads is just simply going to get washed away, because then it looks like the rain is going to become a very consistent feature for many of us as we head into Sunday afternoon. At the lunch hour, now we're talking about temperatures in the mid 30s. The exception here across Northwest Alabama, they're going to be talking about a little bit of frozen precipitation, but the rest of us are going to be talking about some moderate to at times heavy rainfall. I would anticipate that this is probably going to end as a little bit of sleet or a little bit of snow. By 10 o'clock at night on Sunday, we are beginning to dry out. We are beginning to cool off, and we're going to begin to cool off somewhat dramatically. And so it's at this point that everything is really going to begin to freeze over. I wanted to show you forecast rainfall totals, because assuming this rain solution continues to play out, we're actually going to end up getting some significant rain across the Tennessee Valley. And I certainly think that is something worth a note. Unfortunately, I have to get ready to wrap this up, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a summation. Precipitation is going to arrive early Saturday morning. We are going to transition to rain in many areas Saturday afternoon. The biggest impact is likely going to end up being Sunday night and then into Monday, where we're talking about some incredibly cold air across the Tennessee Valley. So if you have any remaining questions, please go ahead and put those in the comment section. If you are watching this after the live has ended, I will do my best to answer them. Until then, you can always catch us on Fox54 News at 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock. Do you think schools will cancel Monday, Tuesday? Margaret, I in no way, shape, or form have the power to make those decisions. I would say there's a chance. A reasonable chance. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen. Again, I don't make those decisions, but based on the forecast, I would say it's a chance. Anywho, I will see you guys later. Again, if you have any other questions, put them in the comment section, and I will do my best to answer them. Until then, I'll talk to you guys later.